if we think of how we want to go forward in research, we came up, and this is from the paper that we published as a result of the EU Parliament meeting that we had last year in allergy. And we said there are three very different, very important parts of research. And not starting at the top, but probably starting at the bottom. Probably very, very important is to reduce the burden of disease. We will not be able to do everything at the same time. We want for our patients, which now have such an impact on their daily quality of life, just reduce the burden of disease. And we can do that by novel optimal approaches and by new intervention tools. We talked a lot about that in the last 2 days, so I don't want to go further into that. Then we want to improve our patient satisfaction. Patients are, although we are sometimes quite happy about what we do, if we ask our patients, they're usually not that happy. There's still very often insufficient control of disease, and we have to work to improve their satisfaction, to be more patient-centered, and to have better therapeutic action plans. And furthermore, and that maybe is a goal which is a little bit further on the road, we like to arrest the progression of the disease. Having better diagnostic tools, being earlier in our interventions, and having new and better therapeutic tools. So the mission of EUFOREA, if we talk about EUFOREA in general, but definitely also on research, is to try to join forces across borders and across specialties. And these 2 days were a marvelous start of that, with all the different partners available. We want to increase the quality and the quantity of our research in the coming years. And we want to provide structural support to researchers. And we started yesterday with helping some young colleagues to make their report of the research of a higher quality. And I think for some it was quite an adventure, but it is really a good way forward to further increase the quality of our research. We aim to define research priorities. We spent a lot of time this morning on defining where we want to go in upper airway disease. We want elaboration of a research network, and we want better presentation of our research. And that was also a question which came up these days, is how is it possible that we are not able, I think Claire asked that, or you, Klaus, why are we not able to much better bring to the public, to the politicians, to the patient representation, what the importance is of the upper airways, and why is there so little money for our research? Well, we can complain, but better we have to work on it and show all these organizations why they have to help us to do research to improve their quality of life. And EUFOREA is going to try to help in that as much as they can. So we're there for researchers, for PhD fellows, for principal investigators, for postdoctoral researchers, but also for clinicians. How do we translate what we know to any ENT surgeon in Europe? I think that's very important. And not only rhinologists, but also ENT specialists in general, allergologists, pulmonologists, to further increase the knowledge and in that way improve the quality of life of our patients. We really would like to build on a rhinology research platform, and it will be difficult. We know from Galen that it's not so easy to combine the forces, to find the money, but I'm sure we will succeed. And then we can look at pathophysiology, but also diagnostic and maybe if we can organize that, also have therapeutic trials together. That would be really marvelous. In pathophysiology, we're interested in barrier function. We discussed a lot about hyperreactivity these days and how that is different in allergic and non-allergic rhinitis. We're interested in genetics, in rhinosinusitis. Endotyping has got a lot of attention. The microbiome is something we're interested in. Smell, something which our patients really complain about. We want to discuss with people interested in the lower airways, how we better combine our efforts to improve the care, and of course the environment and the gene interaction is extremely important. In diagnostics, phenotyping and endotyping, well, nobody in this hall will not know what we meant by that by now. We are interested in the comorbidities and all the different forms of endotyping. And of course that will be extremely important in the next years, and I hope we were able to show that biologicals can be cost effective also in upper airway disease by being precise in endotyping and knowing exactly where patients can benefit from the treatment available. And that will lead to hopefully better immunotherapy, tailored biologicals to our disease, and knowing which patient finally needs surgery and try to make that group as small as possible. So what do we plan for the coming time to achieve? We want to have a lot of interaction, and we tried this morning. Yesterday I was a little bit disappointed, and probably we'll all have to learn to tell people to talk for 10 minutes so that there was more time for discussion, but that will come. But this morning was great with all the interaction sessions and people giving their ideas and telling which needs they have, where we have to put our priorities. We discussed that this morning, how we can make better networks and how we can support research in Europe. And that support, one of the practical things we would like to do in the coming year is to try to write grants together for collaborative research. We will be able to help young researchers or researchers in groups that are not so privileged with a lot of knowledge how to do research in reviewing protocols and helping with statistical analysis. So not at the end of the study, but really before you start doing studies, EUFOREA will give a hand and say, did you think of what is your primary endpoint, what is the ideal statistical methods? In that way, trying to improve research and do not waste all the energy and all the people we have in Europe, but spend all the research time and money in the most efficient way. We try organize research forums like we had the last 2 days. We will further collaborate with ARIA and use that and develop all the good things ARIA has done already. We want to develop e-health mobile apps like Peter already discussed, so I don't have to do that again. And hopefully we will be able to play a role in the coordination of clinical trials in Europe in the next year. I think that's enough for today. We will talk about this a lot more. Probably everybody is a little bit tired after these 2 very intense days. And I would like to answer any questions if there are, and otherwise give the word back to Peter to finalize the meeting. Any questions?